Hey awesome YouTubers, welcome to my channel. For those of you who are seeing my channel for the very first time, I give you the warmest of virtual hugs. The whole intention of my channel is to encourage you guys so that you feel empowered and motivated enough to go and encourage other people, thereby building a cycle of encouragement, especially in a world whereby people are deriving joy from trying to put others down. I'm hoping that we will be the difference makers in society, and I know that we can because we really need more of a positive and happy society. So today's topic is the power of the tongue. Now, this is a phrase that is said so often, but it is really true, especially when we look to the Bible to see that there is so much power in the tongue. And a lot of books like Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians talk about the massive power that's in the tongue. You either bless your day or you curse your day. You either blessing your life or cursing your life. And the same can be said when you talk to others. So let me get straight to the very first Bible verse now, which basically I've just mentioned it when I said that you either bless your day or you curse your day, especially when you look to Proverbs 18 verse 21. If we can all go there, which says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit. Like I've said, you either bless your day or you curse your day. So if you want to have a miserable life, you can go and say awful things to make your life miserable. But if you want to have a happy life, you can, say positive things. Now, some people might be asking, do you mean that we can have power to speak things into existence? Well, yes, we actually can have power to speak things into existence. But of course, also if God actually allows that thing to happen. So, yes, but do talk to God about that as well so that He can also give you some clarity. And then the next part that we're going to go to is Ephesians 4, verse 29, which now talks about encouraging others. And it's not the only scripture that talks about that, it's also Colossians 4, verse 6. But I'm going to be reading Ephesians 4, verses 29. I'm reading this from the Revised Standard Edition app. So it says, let no evil talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for edifying, as fits the occasion, that it may impart grace to those who hear. In other words, whatever you say needs to encourage other people, like it said in this verse when it says edifying. Edify means to build up, it means to improve, it means to inspire other people. When we edify something, we want to improve it so that it can help us to do better. And when you speak encouraging things to other people, you're inspiring them to do better. And nobody wants to be surrounded by a person who feels the need to always be bashing or to be negative. Have you ever grown from experience whereby you're constantly being criticized or bashed? No, you haven't. So how about you do yourself and others a favor and actually speak positivity to other people's lives? And like I've said, you can also look to Colossians 4 verse 6, as well as not Proverbs, James 3 verse 9, which basically would have to do with not putting other people down. And then now on to the next thing, which would be think before you speak. And I have a scripture for that. Proverbs 29 verse 20 to be exact. So now we're thinking before you speak. A lot of us actually don't take the time to think before we speak. I have fallen fault to this a lot of times, and I've noticed that when you're saying something negative before you speak, it impacts badly on another person, but it also makes you feel guilty. And then you obviously have to go and ask for forgiveness, not just by forgiving yourself, but also from God and from the people that you have, hurt with your negative words. And there's a saying that says, sticks and stones break my bones, but words don't hurt me. And we know by now that it is so false, hey, because words can have a massive impact, and hence Proverbs 29 verse 20 talks about how we need to think before we speak, because if we don't, then we would only be foolish. So here goes with the verse. 29 verse 20 says, from the King James Version, seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope of a fool than of him. Let me say it again, because the first part of it is actually a question. Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope of a fool than of him. In other words, it's asking, with a person now who says something without thinking, do you realize the impact that they've already had? And the reason why this person wouldn't realize is because they were too foolish enough not to take the time to actually think about what they've just said. So good people, let us think about what we say before we say it, because like I've said, it will have tremendous impact. And then the very last part of this topic now goes in hand with us needing to stop gossiping. And now, gossiping may seem all fun and that is at first, but when you actually realize it and when you're trying to grow as a Christian and when people are correcting you in love, you realize that gossiping is not okay. Because why? Because even if a person doesn't hear of you gossiping about them, there is an effect, because it not only now impacts that person, but also it talks something of you. It talks about your character, your reputation is at hand. And I don't think anyone wants to be associated with people who gossip, because when you gossip, it's like idle talk. You're just talking idly because you have nothing else to do. And one of the ways in which you can stop this whole thing of gossiping is by actually filling up your time doing meaningful things. And also think about, how would you like it if you were in the shoes of being gossiped and you didn't know, or you found out, and then you think badly or not so highly of the person who gossiped about you. Come on guys, we can do better, and let us just focus on this as well. So Proverbs 26 verse 20 says, also from King James, where no wood is, there are the fire goeth out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. I'll read it again. Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. In other words, where there's no fire, where there's no wood, there is fire. In other words, if you're gonna go and gossip, you're gonna be creating trouble, because now not only are you involving people, but now you're also probably going to be adding in extra stuff that is just not true. And you'll be trying to build up this culture now of people having the need to talk about others as if you're perfect. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. And that is why it's important to rather go and correct that person in love that you feel so the need to talk about. I would rather, and I think so many other people would rather be, approached and told, okay, this is what a suggestion could be, or be told to go to God, rather than have our problems discussed out there in the open. I think a lot of us would have more respect for people who do such things. And now, with all of these subsections that I've just touched, you're probably wondering, okay, but how do they now fit into the whole topic of the power of the tongue? Well, firstly, like I've said, the tongue has so much power in that we can encourage people, in that you can also try to put people down, in that you need to think before you speak, because if you don't, it's going to impact you and that person, but it's going to impact you more because you are the guilty party. And lastly, gossip spreads and it also has a negative effect. So now when we work on these areas, we will notice that the tongue can say more positive things and we'll work towards saying more positive things. So thank you guys for listening. Do take care. Feel free to drop in a comment, and I love you guys, and you'll be seeing me next time. Bye.
have your attention, or is it something else? Are you leading a purposeful or materialistic life? Is the cycle of life meaningful or empty?